What really happens to your body after you die and are buried? A year later, there's nothing left, but are you sure you want to know the gruesome truth? Just like that, one last breath, and then silence. The world keeps spinning, but inside, everything shuts down. Heart stops, brain flatlines. No more pain, no more thoughts, no more plans. Just nothing. But that emptiness is just the beginning. The truly bizarre journey is just starting. Almost immediately, the body begins to change. Fast. Temperature drops, muscles relax, skin pales. It's not just the end, it's the kickoff to a huge, complex process. Think about it. We're teeming with life. Billions of bacteria. They lived with us in harmony. But when the body's defenses fail, those microscopic residents get to work. Once friends, they're now the first workers in this strange factory. But that's only the start, the first step in a transformation that will take a year, and it's wilder than you can imagine. These unseen processes trigger a chain of events. What happens next will shock you. The body as you knew it is gone forever. What if I told you that even after the coffin is lowered into the ground, a completely new, gruesome life begins inside? A coffin slowly descends into the damp earth. Soil rains down, the last sound from the outside world. And that's it. Darkness, silence. Down here, something completely different begins. Something unseen. Something most people are afraid to even imagine. Inside this sealed box is its own closed universe. The body, surrounded by fabric, wood, sometimes metal. But it's not just a container, it's an incubator. The air is limited and quickly used up. The temperature starts to fluctuate. And these conditions are perfect. Perfect for whom? For billions of invisible workers, bacteria that always lived inside us, in our gut, on our skin. They were under control while the body was alive. But now, nothing holds them back. They level up. They start multiplying, breaking down tissues from the inside out. It's called autolysis, self-digestion. And it's not just bacteria. Fungal spores floating in the air find moisture and nutrients here. They germinate. They form entire colonies. The coffin, created to preserve, becomes a cradle for these microorganisms. They actively change the chemical composition. They trigger processes that will turn the body into something unrecognizable. This happens in the first days and weeks, fast, relentlessly, and it's just the beginning of a grand transformation. Nobody will tell you how, in just a few weeks, an entire army of invisible workers turns the body into the foundation for new life. Once the bacteria have started their process, the coffin becomes a beacon for those looking for food. These aren't lone wolves, it's a whole army of nature. It penetrates through cracks, through seams, sometimes even through the earth if it is loose. Who are they? First, flies. They smell the scent. They lay eggs, and now there are larvae, hundreds, thousands. They start actively feeding. Soft tissues are their favorite treat. It looks gruesome, but it's an important stage. Larvae work fast, very fast, like a conveyor belt processing organic matter. Then others come, carpet beetles, for example. They specialize in dense tissues, and of course, worms, earthworms making their way through the ground. They also find a way in. They participate in this grand feast. The body, once a person, is now part of a huge food chain. It turns into a nutrient medium, step by step. These invisible workers toil tirelessly. They know no mercy. They know no stopping. Their task is to return everything to the cycle of nature. They do it perfectly. It's gruesome, but it's the truth. And it's happening right now, underground. Imagine, just recently, this was a person, full of life. But now the moment comes when soft tissues begin to disappear as if they never existed. It's not magic, but a series of shocking metamorphoses, each unique. So, the army of nature has completed its work. But this is just the beginning. The next stage is one of the most shocking. Gases begin to form actively inside the body. Bacteria release them in huge quantities. The body swells up, becoming like a balloon. This is the bloating stage. Gruesome? Absolutely. But it is a necessary step in the transformation. Then the gases find a way out. The body begins to collapse. Liquids leak into the soil. Soft tissues, muscles, organs, actively decompose. This is the stage of active decomposition. Not only bacteria work here, but also fungi and insects. They turn organic matter into something completely different. Gradually, the flesh disappears. Only denser structures remain: skin, hair, tendons. But they are not eternal either. When almost all the soft mass is gone, something solid begins to appear from under the ground. What will remain for a long time? The skeleton. Each stage is unique. It depends on temperature, humidity, soil type. It's not just destruction. It's a complex mechanism verified by nature. It works without stopping, turning the living into part of the earth. Shocking, but it is a natural cycle. Exactly 1 year has passed, 365 days underground, and what remains of the body is astonishing. Only a few % of the original mass, but it's not just dust. Exactly 1 year has passed, 365 days underground, and here's what remains of what once a person. Imagine all the soft tissues, all the flesh that gave shape, volume, almost completely disappeared. Bacteria, fungi, insects, they have done their work. They returned the organic matter to the earth. Now we have a skeleton in front of us. White or slightly colored bones. They lie where they once were. Skull, spine, ribs, limb bones. This is the frame, the rigid base, the only thing that stood up to the onslaught of nature. But it is not perfect either. The bones may be fragile, porous, sometimes even change color due to minerals in the soil. They are no longer the same as they were in life. But that's not all. In some specific conditions, for example in very wet peat soil or conversely in dry sandy soil, other parts may also be preserved. Sometimes it's hair, surprisingly resistant. Nails may remain, or even more rarely, fragments of clothing that were made of synthetics. In exceptional cases, if the conditions were very dry, mummified areas of skin can even be found. It's not just a set of bones. It is a silent testimony to an incredible process. From a living, breathing being to this. This is the culmination of all the work of nature. And this is only 1 year. Time will continue its work. But the most important change has already occurred. Almost nothing remains of the flesh. Only this ghostly structure reminiscent of the past. And then, when it seems that everything is over, something amazing happens. What was the body does not disappear without a trace. It becomes part of something new, giving life where it seemed there was no more. The skeleton we saw is not the finale. It is just one of the stages. Over time, even bones begin to slowly, very slowly decompose. The minerals they are made of are gradually washed into the soil. Calcium, phosphorus, other elements, all of this returns to the earth. And here's what's amazing. This soil, enriched with minerals and the last remnants of organic matter, becomes incredibly fertile. Imagine, where the body rests, the earth literally comes to life. The roots of plants, trees, grasses, they reach for this place. They absorb these substances. It's not just the end, it's the beginning of a new life. What was part of you now feeds the tree that will grow over the grave, or the flower that will bloom in the spring. This is the cycle of existence in its purest form, the eternal cycle of nature, where death is not a stop, but only a transformation. Gruesome? Maybe, but there is an incredible, deep beauty in this. We return to where we came from. We become part of the earth that gives life to everything. It's not just dust, it is a nutritional base, energy, and it's happening right now, eternally. So the body returns to the earth, giving rise to new life. And what about the spirit? Its path is a separate, even bigger mystery. If you like solving such mysteries, be sure to subscribe to the Mysteries of the Spirit channel and like it. We will continue to look for answers.